Hello and welcome to another edition of Issues with Jide. Here we'll talk about actions and inactions of those who shape our political and national landscape and how these impact us positively or otherwise. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Today on the show, Amaechi tells opposition to be ready to die, says Tinubu won't give up power in 2027. In the course of the program, we take our questions, but first subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop your questions in the comment section. It is important to mention that we can only read comments with human names and the ones based on the subject matter. I have joining me via Zoom, the maestro himself, Babajide Koladobutoju. Good to see you back, Big Hill.
Good evening, Ibrahim. Good evening, viewers.
All right. Now, let's get right into the matter. In a recent statement, actually, former Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amaechi, asserted that President Bola Tinubu and the political elite would not relinquish power willingly, urging Nigerians to be prepared to fight for it, and that this has generated heated reactions and debates in the Nigerian democratic polity. First and foremost, let me get what you make of this Amechi's development. I mean, this is statements coming from former Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, before I begin to ask you the specific questions.
Yes, he was speaking at a recent conference on strengthening democracy in Nigeria. And Amaechi declared that the Nigerian politician must still maim and kill to remain in power. So he was basically saying that the Nigerian politician is in power to still maim and kill. That's basically what he was saying. And he said Nigerians lack the collective action and willingness to defend their votes, and that this is the reason politicians continue to misbehave. The problem I see in these remarks by Rotimi Amaechi is an unwillingness to a desire to be seen as a hard-nosed politician, a politician who is different from others, a politician who is committed to democracy and all that. But where you incite people to violence and you tell people that they should be ready to die to defend their votes, they should be ready to confront politicians because politicians, according to him, still maim and kill to remain in power. Amaechi was governor for 8 years. How many people did he kill? How many people did he maim? And how much money belonging to the Rivers people did he steal to stay in power? Because when you point a finger at somebody, the rest of your fingers are pointing inevitably at you. So if you are speaking and making such sweeping generalizations about politicians, you are not a retired politician. You are still an active politician. Yes, you lost a primary election. Yes, President Buhari didn't allow you to come back to the Ministry of Transport after you lost in the primaries, but you are still active politically. You may have been weakened, especially in the politics of your home state, where Nyesom Wike completely took over the reins of power and even got some of your best loyalists to join him. Amaechi has been weakened politically in Rivers State, but he remains a politician. So when you speak in this manner about politicians, you are telling Nigerians inevitably that this was what you were doing to remain in power for 8 years. And when he says you cannot wish me away in the emergence of APC, in the victories recorded by APC, he said, you can't wish me away in how APC won elections. Amaechi is once again saying that he played a part in APC rigging elections. It's inevitably saying that APC rigged elections.
That's right.
So when you speak in this manner, you are telling the world that this is who you are. And I remember vividly that in 2019, APC had no candidates in Rivers State because of the crisis that characterized the primary elections of that party. They didn't have a governorship candidate. Amaechi then decided to support the AAC, the candidate of AAC at that time. I'm trying to remember his name, Libby Adora. When he says Nigerians are not prepared to defend their votes, it's a lie from the pit of hell. We've seen Nigerians defend their votes. We've seen Nigerians vote out ruling parties. In 2019, Rotimi Amaechi backed the AAC, and he tried his best to use federal might to win the election in Rivers State. In Ogubolo local government, soldiers doing the work for AAC tried to invade a collation center and cut away electoral materials. It was women. I'm sure anybody listening to me can Google it, can fact check me. It was women that stopped the soldiers from overrunning that place. Women, oh, not men. Women stood their ground. Soldiers were trying to scale the wall into the premises of the collation center. But women stood their ground and said, no, this is not going to happen. So if women stood their ground and stopped soldiers from storming the collation center to rig for a party that the government of Rotimi Amaechi in Rivers State supported, then you cannot say Nigerians do not defend their votes or Nigerians lack the capacity to defend their votes. As far back as 1983, I saw Nigerians defend their votes in Ondo State. And Akiyama Borio, whom the ruling party was trying to declare winner of the election by all means, could not become governor at the expense of Baba Jashin, because people defended their votes, people fought, people rioted, lives were lost. I do not understand the feeling that some people have that 2027 election has already been rigged by Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Bola Ahmed Tinubu can be defeated in the 2027 election if the opposition parties come together. It's as simple as that. Field a formidable candidate. Rally around that formidable candidate. I've said it before, that if the PDP had not been broken up, if the PDP had not been broken up ahead of the 2023 election, we saw Peter Obi leaving the party after the party refused to make him the party leader in Anambra State and made someone else the party leader. By tradition, just like it is with the PDP, a former governor where you do not have a sitting governor, the former governor in that state becomes the party leader. PDP contrived to ensure that Peter Obi was not made party leader. Because of that, he left the party for Labour Party. If Peter Obi had remained in the PDP, if Kwankwaso, who also had a quarrel with the leadership of the PDP and went to NNPP, if both men had remained in the PDP, they would have scored cumulatively votes in excess of 14 million. And 14 million would have given them an overwhelming victory over Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Bola Ahmed Tinubu lost in Lagos, a place where he was governor for 8 years, where he had been the unrivaled political leader since the beginning of his second term. So I do not want to believe that you have to get violent before you can win an election.
That's right.
Calling for people to use brute force in 2027 and saying that Tinubu will not give power to them. It is not Tinubu that gives power. The people vote out leaders. If the people make up their minds to reject Tinubu in the 2023 election, there's nothing you can do about it. And we have seen it happen before.
That's right.
He was defeated here in Lagos. He was also defeated in Osun State. So out of the 6 states of the Southwest, Tinubu lost 2. If he couldn't win his Lagos, nobody should tell us that, oh, Tinubu will not give power to you. It is not in Tinubu's hands to give power because he's not God. God gives power, and the people have the power to remove their leaders. That power is in their hands, in their thumbs. You get to vote. Yeah. So, given the feeling that, it is Tinubu who will determine who will win the presidential election, it's not in his place to determine who will win. It is Nigerians who will decide. And if Nigerians overwhelmingly reject him, I do not see how Tinubu will force himself on Nigerians.
All right, Mikhail. The Apex Igbo Sociocultural Organization, that's the Ohaneze Igbo, condemned in strongest possible terms, in their word, the reckless and incendiary comments made by Chibuike Amaechi against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And then they declared firmly that the Indigbo will never endorse any political conspiracy aimed at undermining the legitimacy of an elected president, Chibuike Amici. They told him to stop inciting Nigerians against Tinubu. So what does this say about the Southeast leadership stance, about the outcome of the 2023 general election? Do you feel this sharply dismiss the like of Peter Obi and his obedient families, and then and others' position of a stolen mandate by the APC in the 2023 general election?
No, the thing is, let's not forget that, like many other groups, Ohaneze itself has factions. Ohaneze has factions. The the deputy, this is an ESCO member, believed to belong to a different faction, saying this. So I cannot use this as a yardstick to measure how the people of the Southeast are thinking. But there's been a long time between 2023, May 2023 and now. A lot of people are changing their views. A lot of people are embracing, who did not want to hear about the president, are embracing him now. So, but I align with what Izzy Guzoro said, that Amaechi's statement is in itself a threat. Amaechi's remarks constitute a threat to democracy. You go to give a speech at a conference on how to strengthen democracy in Nigeria, and all you can do is incite people to violence, saying such nonsense that politicians steal, maim, and kill to remain in power. And we asked the question, how many people did you kill? We know that you locked up the courts. You locked up the courts, which show clearly that you are not a Democrat. You are a big beneficiary of democracy. But Amaechi's actions show clearly that he's not a Democrat and he's not a team player. He found it difficult to even work with members of his own party. And he lost out. And a whole party could not field candidates in elections because Rotimi Amaechi was not prepared to work with other people in the party. To him, it has to be Rotimi or nobody. He locked up the courts. And judges could not sit in their courts. That's not how you know a Democrat. That's how you know somebody who is anti-democracy. So if you go to an event where you are supposed to speak on how to strengthen democracy, and all you can do is tell people that, oh, they have to use brute force or brutal force to win elections in 2027 because Tinubu, if you think Tinubu will give it to you, you are deceiving yourself. I mean, that was a very reckless, that was an irresponsible remark. It is not in Tinubu's place to give power to anyone, especially in an election that he is contesting. If the people of Nigeria say, yes, we don't want you anymore, he will have no choice. It's democracy. He will have no choice. The same way he had no choice but to accept defeat in Lagos. The same way he had no choice but to accept defeat in Osun State. The same way he had no choice but to accept defeat in not less than 10 states controlled by the APC. In the presidential election, states like Sokoto, like Kebbi, states like Yobe, these were APC states. And the president lost in those APC states. I remember predicting that he will lose Kebbi and Sokoto. Some APC members were calling me names. But that was what happened at the end of the day. He lost both states. You know, you look at the Northeast. APC was in control of the states of the Northeast. But how many states did APC win in the Northeast? Out of the 7 states of the Northwest, 7 states of the Northwest, APC was in control of 6. The only state APC didn't control was Sokoto, where we had Tambuwal as governor. But out of those 7 states, Tinubu only won 2 states. He only won 2 states. He won in Zamfara and Jigawa, out of 7 states of the Northwest, whereas his party was in control of 6 of those 7 states. So the power is in the hands of Nigerians. All Nigerians can continue to work towards is for INEC to increasingly embrace more reform that will lead to electoral integrity. And before any election, there is usually an electoral act. The electoral act will embody some new rules, new regulations, and the people will take part in public hearings so that INEC can harvest their thoughts, their suggestions, and use it to do a fresh and INEC and the National Assembly will use it to come up with a fresh electoral act. Of course, INEC in their rule book will also accommodate such new ideas. So our desire is to see elections get better in our country. We do not believe, I do not believe that you can only win election in Nigeria through intimidation, lawlessness, and violence, because that is what Rotimi Amaechi is telling us. That people should be ready to die. People should be ready to live. He was even taunting some of the people there that they cannot defend their votes, that you people, you cannot defend your votes. It's very unfortunate.
All right.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah. Let me quickly take 1 or 2 comments. John Adewale says, wow, Amaechi is really speaking recklessly. Why would a leader encourage people to be ready to die instead of promoting peace? We need unity, not conflict. Chioma Okafor says, Tinubu won't give up power in 2027. That's a serious statement. But if people come together with a strong opposition, anything is possible in politics. Sunday Balogun says, Amaechi is telling the truth. Holding on to power in Nigeria is no small task. The opposition must prepare for a serious battle if they want to win. Bello Ibrahim says, this is a bitter truth. If the opposition doesn't wake up, they will endure another 8 years under Tinubu. Nigeria politics is no joke. Kemi Akinlade says, Amaechi should calm down, please. There is no need to spread fear. Peaceful change is achievable if we do things right. And Fatima Osman says Nigerian politics is a survival game. What Amaechi said is a sad reality, but do people really have to die for democracy to work? Would people like to die for democracy to work? Okay, so my somewhat maybe not final question, but then is that if you recall in October 2024, Amaechi said he was disappointed in Nigerians for their laid-back disposition to the prevailing economic hardship. But the APC had clapped back at him as if as one of those who destroyed Nigeria. How would you describe the like of Amaechi's and El-Rufai's criticisms of their own party? Do you think it's coming from a pain point of losing out in their political bid?
Of course, it's coming from a position of pain. You know, when things don't go the way you want, you sometimes lose your head. I know that many people are frustrated, especially former APC leaders or members of the party. Many of them are frustrated that they've been sidelined in the running of the administration. Some of them blame the president's aides and accuse the president's aides of denying them access. You can see that Ali Ndume said the same thing, that he's been denied access to the president. So people have different frustrations. For example, El-Rufai felt that he should not have been screened out as a prospective minister, because in the first place, he wasn't really keen on being made a minister. But he was screened out. There's no way he can be happy. So they are coming together now, trying to form an alliance, which in their view will unseat the ruling party. And we've seen that parties came together in South Africa to loosen ANC's grip on power. ANC is no longer as influential as it used to be, because some of their former strongholds were violated. Some of their usual strongholds were violated by rival parties. And at the end of the day, the president needed to form a coalition because he didn't have enough to form a government on his own. So he had to work with a rival party. What the opposition politicians can do is to come together. If they come together, if they put their selfishness aside, they can win the election. But you can never bet against a man who is in power. He has the resources. It's not simply about rigging an election. He has the resources. He has come up with reforms that he will try his best to sustain. He has the resources to woo people to his side, to weaken the opposition. And many opposition elements would want to join the ruling party after them being dangled carrots here and there. This is a fact. So if they fail to work together because they are selfish, everybody wants to become president, rather than sacrifice to unseat the ruling power, then they shouldn't come back and tell us, oh, Tinubu refused to give it to you. Tinubu rigged the election. Because Amaechi is indirectly telling us that Tinubu will rig the election. Because by saying that Tinubu will not give it to you, that I'm looking at some of you, I'm just laughing. I'm trying to get his quote. He said, I'm just looking at some of you who think that Tinubu will give power to you. That's a way of saying that he's sure that Tinubu will rig election. And I'm saying that no man can be bigger than his country. If Nigerians say they don't want the president, if the opposition parties come together, their votes would be enough to seat the ruling party. But the question is, can they come together? We've already seen Kwankwaso abusing Atiku and calling him a liar at 80. And the elections are still far away. The same Kwankwaso has been attacking northern leaders, accusing them of usually favoring a particular candidate. You don't need to tell me to know that I was referring to Atiku. And the elections have not come. Elections are still a bit far away. So, and we've seen Labour Party itself already facing disintegration. So if the center cannot hold in these opposition parties, and they have crisis, the other day they came to blows during the BOT meeting of PDP, they are quarreling over ordinary position of secretary. They're taking themselves to court. The case is now in the Supreme Court. So if they are not united, Bala Mohammed is abusing Wike. They are pulling in different directions. These are the things that will help Tinubu to win the election. Tinubu will not win the election by threatening Nigerians, by intimidating Nigerians. He knows that the power is in the hands of Nigerians.
All right, Pikio, very
But
quickly.
if the parties are weak, let me tell you, the parties are weak. If they fail to come together, the parties are disintegrating before our eyes. If governors from the opposition work for the president, if some of those governors work for the president, how then do you think the president won't be able to retain power? So there are factors that could help him to retain power without necessarily going gongo to rig election. These are the things. Amaechi is not talking about the crisis in the party. If he was talking about divisions in the parties and the need for the parties to come together and face the ruling party, I will agree. But to give the impression that, oh, Tinubu will not give power, that was a very irresponsible statement to make. It is not in Tinubu's place to give power. Do you think Tinubu was happy to lose Lagos, for example? But he could not do anything about it. Do you think he was happy to lose Osun State? But he could not do anything about it. The people spoke with their votes. So this is the thing.
Right,
trying to incite violence is not the solution.
Right. Yeah. So, on a final note, Emeka also says, I can't blame Amaechi. It is a system they created that is now haunting them. We need fresh political ideas, not recycled leaders. My final question to you, we're out of time quickly, is that what do you think the APC party, should do about the like of Amaechi, El-Rufai, who are now emergency antagonist opposition to their own party, accusing the party of things that they have been a part of, from time immemorial. And do you think the people should even trust them to start with, come 2027, with some of the utterances they're making? Very quickly.
I think that the party has a big role to play to bring everybody on board, or bring some of these big party members on board. But APC itself has not had a NEC meeting in a long time. It has not had a caucus meeting in a long time. These are issues that you can decide upon during NEC meetings, during caucus meetings. And even PDP has found a way to meet a few times, but the ruling party has not been meeting. So these are issues that they can bring up at either their convention or um, their caucus meetings, national caucus meetings. So if people like Rotimi Amaechi can see that meetings are not held regularly, nobody has invited them to attend a meeting of the party, they will think that the party lacks inclusion, and many people will go in disparate ways. So I think the party needs to show that it believes in inclusion. The party needs to hold those meetings regularly, and there should be internal democracy. And aggrieved persons need to be brought on board ahead of the elections, because there will be more people working against the party as we move close to the election, because there are many people who believe that they've been badly treated, especially those who work for the emergence of the president. There's a need for a conference for APC party leaders where they can bring in these people and explain to them that, look, the future is still bright, they are still valued, and they will want them to stick with the party. But if nobody is talking to them, if nobody gives the feeling that they are wanted, then they will be going up and down saying those things that embarrass the party.
That's right. So
And
do you think people should also, pay attention, pay heed to some of the things they're saying? Because the people, they are now appearing like they are on the side of the people. Do you think people should really take them serious with some of the things they're saying? Very quickly, we also time.
no, a lot of people know that the way they behaved when they were in power is not the way they are behaving now. They are trying to make people see them as people who are smelling like roses, as Puritans now. But neither of them was like that when he was in power. So people don't forget those things easily. People can easily tell that Amaechi did not behave like a Democrat as governor. He was totalitarian, he was harsh. But today he can afford to talk about what does he want to tell Nigerians about democracy? It is not in his place to teach Nigerians how to conduct themselves in a democracy, because he has not even conducted himself properly as a Democrat. His record in Rivers State will readily tell you that he behaved not as a Democrat. And his record as party leader for APC is a very shameful record, because he couldn't weld the party together. He couldn't weld the party together, and the party lost elections because of that. Because of his winner takes all approach. He was not, he didn't behave like a good party man. He didn't he behave like a lone ranger. He didn't behave like a team player. And that's why you find that those who are supposed to work with him, they eventually left the party. Some of them went to SDP. They sabotaged their own party. He led a party that was sabotaged internally and limited the capacity of the party to win elections because of his bad leadership, self-centered kind of leadership that he ran. So today he can't be talking to people like a die-in-the-wool Democrats. People will not believe. People can see when people speak to Nigerians. Nigerians can decide who is speaking to them as a hypocrite or who is speaking to them from the bottom of their hearts. People should not think that Nigerians are so dumb that they cannot think deeply. No, Nigerians know hypocrites when hypocrites address them. And they know that Rotimi Amaechi is not in the best position to preach about the primacy of democracy, to preach about the fidelity of democracy to anyone, because he didn't leave that as governor, and he didn't leave that as party leader for the APC in Rivers State, and it contributed to the rapid decline of the party in the states.
Right. That's our show for today's edition of Issues with Jide. Special thanks to you, Babajide, for those insightful analyses as always.
Thank you, Ibrahim. We do this again next week, God willing. And I say a big thank you to our viewers.
Right. And thanks to you. Right. All right. That's right. And thanks to you to our audience for keeping our company on every edition. You can see the program again anytime by subscribing to our YouTube channel, TVC News Nigeria. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, TVC News Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button to get the latest information. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at TVC News NG. I'm also at Ibrahim_Shita. On behalf of the rest of the team, I'm Ibrahim Shita. See you again next edition. Bye for now.